Benjamin Alexander of Jamaica, bib number 83, the former DJ who fell in love with the Olympic Winter Games after attending 2018 as a spectator. Inspired by the Jamaican bobsleigh team in the Calgary Olympics, he set himself a challenge to become the first Alpine skier from Jamaica to participate in the Olympic Winter Games. And here he comes now into the final pitch. For Gates from home, and Alexander will stop the clock. 109 off the pace, 47th position for Benjamin Alexander of Jamaica.
That was for everyone who thinks they don't belong in skiing. Get your kids into winter sports earlier. Let's change the game. Thanks.
And in that moment, history was created. Benjamin Alexander with the iconic words, "Let's change the game." The 38-year-old former DJ, who only started skiing 6 years ago, completely understands that he's representing not only himself and his country, but future generations of Winter Olympians. So, Lance, you know, we are set to talk to Benjamin. I've been in conversation with him. Of course, he's very, very proud. The results aren't what we expect, but I think the mission was accomplished, especially representing your country, inspiring youngsters to realize that, you know, nothing is too difficult to achieve, and we too here in the Caribbean can participate.
Well, let's start here. It's absolutely startling that after just 6 years of skiing, he finds his place in an Olympic team, which by itself is remarkable. That's an achievement that doesn't happen very often. People who go to the Olympic Games spend sometimes decades, you know, fine-tuning their craft to get themselves to that level. And if he only started skiing 6 years ago and finds his way to Beijing as a genuine qualifier, even though he, you know, has finished towards the bottom end of the performers, that in itself has to be inspiring.
What I think is amazing too is we were aware of the blizzard conditions that were taking place in Beijing. Very, very difficult conditions, inclement weather. But out of the participants, Benjamin managed to finish the slope. And I think in an interview with, I can't remember the exact media house, but he basically was saying, well, I belong here, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people would have felt he didn't belong here, especially because of the background lands that you just outlined. So very, very happy for him. And, you know, I can't wait to speak to him, because I want to find out whether or not or how he's going about, you know, ensuring that the future generations get involved in representing their countries.
Well, there are a lot of eyes on the Winter Olympics. Of course, it's live on the Home of Champions, and it's been several cycles now that the Caribbean has been tuned in to the Winter Olympics. So the more Caribbean viewers get attuned to what happens in the Winter Olympics and be inspired by tropical countries stepping up and representing themselves at the Winter Olympics, I'm sure it will trigger more interest. And while this is not a natural habitat for Caribbean-born or Caribbean-based people, life is full of challenges. And I think Alexander exemplifies the situation that, you know, you have a dream, you work at it, you be diligent, and you can see your dreams come true.
Yeah, you said life is full of challenges, and immediately the word surprises also came to my mind, because it's so surprising that despite those difficult conditions on that day, and just to remind our viewers that 41 skiers were unable to complete the slope, you know. Unfortunately, one of our very own Haiti's Richardson Viano, he was among those that didn't complete the slope. But Benjamin, again, somebody just joining the sport, not doing it as a kid or anything like that, able to show up in Beijing and even compete during those difficult conditions. A story that we're so excited about. And viewers, you know what? We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, hopefully we'll have Benjamin. We'll hear from him himself what took place. Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone, and we continue talking about the Winter Olympics. As promised before the break, we have the Winter Olympian himself, Benjamin Alexander. Benjamin, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm great. I'm back in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
All right. So, we wanted to hear firsthand from you what the experience was like, the emotions that you went through. So maybe you can share with us?
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. It was a dream come true to be at the Winter Games. It was incredible to be in the opening ceremony. And it was even more amazing to be on that course with some of the best athletes on the planet. As you saw and as you said right before the break, 41 athletes were unable to complete the course. And for me, just being able to finish it was just such an incredible achievement. And I'm so proud. And, that's a line in the sand now for Jamaica to improve upon at the next games and beyond.
Yeah, and it's one thing for us here as journalists to report on the conditions. We're not there. Maybe you can explain to me, how those difficult conditions were and how you were able to navigate.
Yeah, look, so a lot of people that are not familiar with ski racing think that new snow is a good thing, right? Skiing is about having snow to kind of ski down on. It doesn't work like that for ski racing. We really want to have a consistent hard surface. And so when you have the biggest dump of snow that has happened on the mountain in 8 years, it was totally unexpected. The organizers were kind of caught blindsided and really couldn't clear the course well enough for the first run. Actually, it wasn't that safe, I'm going to be honest, and that's why we had so many crashes. I came into this with a different objective to the majority of my competitors. The top 30 or 50 athletes in the world have to give it 150% because medals are won and lost on fractions of a second, right? Tenths of a second, hundredths of a second. And so the person who wins is the guy that gives it 150% and manages to survive down the course. As someone that just started ski racing 2 years ago, and as someone who just started skiing 6 years ago, my goal was to be conservative and to complete the course. The last thing I would have wanted is to spend all of that time and effort and to have got to the Olympics and just to have the little DSQ or the DNF, so the disqualification or the did not finish, next to my name and next to the Jamaican flag. So I wasn't concerned about the time. It was about finishing, and it was about putting a marker in the sand for Jamaica. And look, the guy who finished one place ahead of me in 45th place has been ski racing for 15 years. And the way that I look at it is if you're 30 seconds or 40 seconds behind the winner or 60, it doesn't matter, right? If you're not in the contention for the top 10, then your time behind the winner doesn't matter. And that was my strategy going into it.
Yeah, what does the future hold for you with regards to the sport? Because that's up to you.
Yeah, look, I'm officially retired from ski racing. There may be a couple of other things I do, such as the World Championships next year, and there might be a fun event here or there that I might jump into. But look, this was about proving to Jamaica and the world that this thing is possible. Now it's time for us to find some real athletes that started younger than 32, like I did, and have had more time practicing the sport to come in now and do much better. I've figured out how it all works. I've figured out how we can get Jamaicans to the Olympics. I understand the qualification system. I have a deep understanding of racing now, but I can share that knowledge, and I want to share that knowledge and mentor the next generation of Jamaican kids to be there and to be just the athlete. I had to wear 50 different hats to get to the qualification status. It's impossible for someone that's wearing so many hats and doing so many roles to be the best at any of one of those things, because your division of thought and labor goes across so many things. And so I've already identified a half a dozen Jamaicans who can represent us on skis or snowboards at the 2026 games, and I'm super pumped and super excited to be there for them.
Yeah, so does this mean that now you take up an administrative role and you're going to groom these youngsters and ensure that we have proper representation moving forward?
Exactly. So one of the things that Jamaica doesn't have so much of is industry expertise as it pertains to sports that they don't compete in, right? And that's just because no one's done that before. But now we have. We've had an Alpine skier, that was me. And I hope that for every Olympics going forward, we'll have Alpine representation, we'll have Alpine skiers, and we'll just keep improving upon my performance. I was just the baseline for which we can improve upon.
Yeah, Benjamin, I want to ask this question because the bobsled competitors, a lot of them are former track and field athletes. So to push that sled it has to be triggered by a lot of leg power and glutes power and so on, which sprinters have. If you look at even the motion when they push the sled off. Is there a skill or a sort of natural skill set that someone who hasn't skied before could be identified as a potential skier?
Yeah, look, I love this question. This is exactly where my mind has been going over the last few years. What are the talents that we as Jamaicans have that we're extraordinary at, because we know we're great at track and field, that can transition across into other sports? So alpine skiing is not really one of them. Alpine skiing is 90% about technique. It's an incredibly technical sport, but really you only learn after years and decades of technique and coaching and improvement. So that's not the easiest one, right? For that, we have to find kids who have been doing this thing since the age of 2, and I've already found those kids. But when you ask that question, my mind immediately goes to something such as cross-country skiing, right? Where the guys have the tiny, thin little skis. And that is very transferable. I'm going to come to Jamaica and we're going to try and find some kids, some athletes that are great at the 15-kilometer or the 50-kilometer distance, and find the kids that have like a propensity to be in cold weather. You know, we could do something like the Cool Runnings movie where we sit in the refrigerator for an hour or two and see who lasts. And then we can go across to one of the Scandinavian countries, the home of cross-country skiing, whether that's Norway or Finland, and within 3 to 6 months, get athletes really proficient at applying those track and field skills, but on a pair of cross-country skis. Also, another transferable skill would apply to speed skating. We just saw that one of the black women from the United States who just started speed skating 6 years ago won a medal, and maybe even a gold medal. And these are the things, as Jamaicans, we should be thinking about. What are the disciplines that are naturally gifted abilities and talents? What are the disciplines in Winter Games that we can apply ourselves to? And I hope that, you know, my story of having done this in such a short period should show people that this is an opportunity for them.
Benjamin, talk to us about the mental toughness that was required here, because history is replete with athletes who have had a lot of talent and haven't been able to transfer that to success in international competition. You know, we think of so many footballers, cricketers and so on. You look at them play and you see the talent. But the mental toughness is something that sometimes makes the difference between success and failure at the international level. How did you manage to be mentally tough to achieve what you have achieved? Because the odds were certainly stacked very, very heavily against you.
Yeah, I mean, look, with everything that happened over the last 2 years, and in particular the pandemic, I was destined to fail, right? Everything was set up for me to fail and not being able to achieve this. And so, you know, it's a good question. I wanted to give up 20 times every single month. This was the hardest thing I'd ever done. But I put my reputation and my name and everything on the line for this. You know, I'm a strong believer that if you're going to do something, you need to state your goals publicly. You need to hold yourself accountable to that thing that you've set yourself out to achieve. And so I was very public about wanting to do this thing. And for me, really, it was the fear of failing publicly, right? I'd set this goal that I wanted to do this thing, and I wanted to go and be an Olympian for Jamaica in 2022, that just kept motivating me. And I think, you know, an easy analogy would be to think sometimes people set themselves a goal, right? Maybe that's no sugar or no alcohol for a week. Let's think of something super simple. And if they don't announce that goal, it's very easy for them to kind of renege on that and to negotiate in their brain after a couple of days and say, you know what, I can do that next week. But if you state that goal publicly, maybe something as simple as writing it on a fridge that everyone sees, or telling all of your colleagues and your family on Facebook or something else, now that goal takes some kind of, it has more value to it. Now there's something that happens if you don't keep that goal. And so, you know, I say to all the people out there, if you're trying to set a goal, as I said, something as simple as no alcohol for a week, be public with your goals and hold yourself and have your friends and family around you hold you accountable. And that's what allowed me to keep pushing forward when I thought it wasn't going to happen, and to keep motivating myself on those mornings where I was in so much pain, because ski racing is really all about pain, kept motivating me to get up and keep training.
Definitely very inspirational. Is it that you're going to be back doing what you love, a DJ as well?
No, I still haven't figured that out, right? So I have a lot of sponsors who have helped me financially that I activated once I qualified. I didn't want people to support me financially until I knew that I was going to succeed. And a big part of what I'm doing is kind of public speaking, motivational speaking for those companies. And every time I go to those companies to give a talk, I've insisted that we also give a talk to a local charity and a local kids ski club, if possible, or a local kids athletic club. I'll be back in Jamaica in a couple of weeks' time, and hopefully get the opportunity to speak to a bunch of charities and young kids clubs there while I'm there. And we'll see where that takes me. I'm fascinated at the intersection of technology, fitness, and health, and maybe I find a place in a tech company. But look, over the next 3 months, I think I'm going to be doing a lot of this, talking to people like you guys, and hopefully inspiring a lot of other people to take up winter sports.
Yeah, Benjamin, I gather that when you're in Jamaica, you spend a lot of time on the North Coast. Well, the SportsMax studio is in Kingston. So make sure that when you plan your activities for your Jamaica visit in a couple of weeks, Kingston is a part of it.
No problem, man.
All right, we'll talk, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing you in Jamaica and having you probably live in our studios.
Absolutely. You have my word. I'll be there. See, I'm stating my goals publicly again.
All right, Benjamin, good. Great talking to you. We'll be in touch. Mariah, very important what he just said there, stating some of your goals publicly and putting it out there, almost pressuring yourself to deliver. And I remember after Elaine Thompson-Herah had been so, stunningly successful at the Tokyo Olympic Games, she spoke of things that she had written to motivate herself, and it sounded pretty similar to what Benjamin Alexander has done.
But that's exactly what I do too.
Oh, you do that?
I write things into being.
Can I see it?
No. Maybe I can tell our viewers what's still to come on the show. Well, we have the UEFA Champions League round of 16 that kicked off today with the two scintillating fixtures. Real Madrid, they travel to the French capital to take on PSG, while Pep Guardiola and the citizens of Manchester were in Portugal for their clash against Sporting. Our Champions League recap comes up later in the show. Stay with us, more SportsMax soon after the break.